Hello, this is David Ferguson with MLC CAD Systems, and what I'm going to be doing in Mastercam 2025 right now is I'm going to go ahead and import and create a new tool assembly. This is something that I have to do quite a lot in Mastercam, although Mastercam does come sort of preloaded with a pretty good selection of tools and holders. I'm talking about milling in this case. Oftentimes, they're not exactly what I need to be using out on the floor. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a new tool based off a Kenna Metal Core 5. It's a 5-flute square end mill, a half-inch one in this case, about 3.5 inches length. Just a solid carbide aluminum rougher. And I'm going to be pairing that with just a Cat 40 half-inch HAAS shrink fit holder, mostly because they have a model for that. Actually, both of these do, so I'm going to be creating these both from step models or step files, and we'll just kind of walk through the process of how I do that in Mastercam 2025, although this again is pretty transferable to older versions of the software as well. So just some good tips for something you're going to be doing a lot of as a programmer. So I'll start with the holder, because that will be the more involved of the two. I'm in Mastercam 2025, just got an open and blank session here. I'm going to grab my rough or my basic model of the holder here, which I've downloaded from HAAS's website or whoever manufactured it, whatever. Most manufacturers will offer that. I'm going to look at my levels manager just real quick. Sometimes when you download models from manufacturer, you get more than you bargain for. And I'm just going to kind of poke around and say, oh yeah, there's some interior stuff that I just don't need to really use or worry about. So I'm just going to turn that stuff off. That's what I need. Now, this model is imported in. It's not in the correct orientation. It is not where it needs to be, and it's actually too much model. So I've got to sort of get rid of some of this, and we'll show you an easy and quick way to do that, because I can orient the model and sort of trim it out to give me exactly what I need relatively quickly. So with those levels sort of shuffled off and turned off, again, I don't need those. I'm going to go up to my transform ribbon. I'm going to grab dynamic transform. I'm going to select my model, and I'm just going to go ahead and park my gnomon there in center, and I need this to be centered or oriented so the part or the model is centered around my z-axis. We can see we're not quite there, so I'm going to pick that up and kind of move that over to my origin. Align to z also works pretty good. That looks nice. Now the other thing I need to do is I need to sort of determine sort of where the machine connection would be on this. And this would be this top face here. I actually don't need the model of the cat or the pull stud. I don't need that. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick up my gnomon and kind of move it, up somewhere on the top, just anywhere. It don't matter. As long as I snap it to the right height, that looks good. And then I'm just going to adjust that up and down, again, based off my origin. If I can get to it. There we go. And that puts that top face there sort of in my XY plane, or it's sort of flat or in the same Z height as my XY plane. Okay. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go up to my solids ribbon up top, and I'm going to find trim to plane. Go ahead and click that, select the model I want to trim, hit enter. And then over on the left-hand side, I'm going to choose a named plane right here. I'm just going to go ahead and click there. That would be my top plane. Hey, that got rid of the wrong half of that. Hey, there's a reverse button if I need to. I can also split it and just delete the half I don't want to keep. But there's a reverse button to flip that guy. And that is what I'm looking to keep. That's all I need to go ahead and have that model usable in Mastercam. So we'll say OK. I'm going to go File, Save Some, and I'm going to save this back out as a step file, and I will just call it prep or something. Hey, I've already got one there. I cheated. I'm just going to override that one, but just something to, not overwrite the original, just in case I mess this up. I still have the original hanging around, so just call this prepped or whatever you want to say, and we'll just go ahead and replace the one I did earlier. Perfect. Now, if I kind of X out of there and I look at the model of the tool that I downloaded from Kenna Metal's website, just want to kind of eyeball on what I'm working with there. And I can see, hey, that tool is already centered on my Z-axis. Thank you very much, Kenna Metal. It means I don't have to do anything with this. But I do notice that it is actually split into two halves. Looks like they gave me a cut and no cut section, so a little old school there. That's not going to be a problem for me. Okay, I don't need to boolean this together or merge it. I can if I want to, but it's not going to affect my ability to import in that tool. As long as I know what the dimensions are, I'll be good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bail on that. That's fine. And I'm just going to start a fresh open session in Mastercam. I do want to pull in a machine, so I'm just going to grab my standard mill. And just to give me something to work with, I usually, out of habit, just sort of sketch out a simple rectangle. That way I can go up to my toolpath ribbon, do a simple contour. I don't really care which way it's going. And then on my tool page, I can right click and I can go ahead and create a tool. Okay, I like to do it in a toolpath because that also lets me grab the holder and assign it there and adjust projection and do all that kind of stuff I usually like to do when creating an assembly. So we'll go ahead and create a tool. Now, even though I'm bringing this in from a model, I don't want to use the custom tool option. I want to call this what it is. This is a flat end mill, right? It is a square shouldered end mill. And if I choose a custom tool, either for hole making or for milling or any of those, I don't necessarily always get the same options that I would if I chose it as a flat end mill or an end mill. Okay, so you want to choose what type of tool it is these days. So I'll call it a flat end mill. I'll go ahead and hit next. Now, I'm going to click on this button here, which is going to allow me to import in that step model. I just have to remember sort of where I parked it. Hey, there are my tooling models. There's my step that I downloaded literally a few minutes ago, and I'll go ahead and hit open. Depending on the complexity of that model, we might wait a moment. Mastercam is processing the model, so we'll just let it do that. I usually like to have the Jeopardy theme playing in the background while this happens, but it'll be done in just a moment. We can't afford the Jeopardy theme, so, we have to use something similar. There we go. Now, a lot of times when you import in a model, Mastercam may not automatically grab the right values, especially for cutting length and things like that. Doesn't always see that. So, it's always nice to have sort of the dimensions of the tool around or off the box or whatever you're doing. So the cutting diameter is good at 0.5. The overall length is good at 3.5, but the cutting length is not 3.4. According to the data sheet, the cutting length on that tool is 1.5. The shoulder length is also not 3.4. That is 1.6. It's about, I got a 100th thou a shoulder on there. And remember, that's always calculated from the tip of the tool up. Shoulder diameter 0.5, shank diameter 0.5, all good there. Not a reduced shank tool. So I'll go to my finalized properties and I'll just go ahead and give it a tool number. This for me is going to be my tool number 10. It is 5-flute, believe it or not. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a base feed right here. I'm going to go 6,500 RPM. According to the data sheet, that's sort of in the ballpark, with a feed per tooth of, let's say, 3 thou. Again, in the ballpark for what Kenna Metal was suggesting for this. Mostly I'm going to be using this for outside cuts, side milling. Real low step over kind of approach to it, big depth of cut. So, this tool is kind of designed for tricordial stuff, and that's primarily what I'm going to use it for. I'm also going to go ahead and come down and give it a coolant command. I want to use flood with this guy. So I'll go ahead and turn on my flood. And then over here, I want to go ahead and give it a little bit of a better name. So I cheated a little bit. I did a little copy pasta from Kenna Metal's website. That's fine. Sometimes you have that written down on a piece of paper. Sometimes you just do some copy paste, however you want to do it. This is a Kenna Metal, and just fill out as much as you can with what you can scrap together. Okay, and then I'll give it what I think is a big deal is the reorder code when I break this in about a half hour, and I have to tell the boss we need another one. Hopefully he bought me 2. Okay, perfect. Now, that's fine. Not a finished tool, so I'll uncheck that. XY step over, I'm going to go ahead and put that at 7%. Should be, again, around 30 to, 25 to 35, 40 thou at the most. So I'll do about 7%. Again, I'm not married to that. I can always adjust that later. So I've got a good feed and speed. The tool is well defined. I've set a coolant command, again, given it some names and some values there. So again, we can reorder it when I break it, and I'll go ahead and hit finish. Okay, and there I've got the guy. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go to my holder page, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a new holder. Again, same kind of deal. I'm just going to go ahead and import this in from the model. Okay? And that would be my prepped model. Again, I've got to wait for Mastercam to tessellate that model, but it shouldn't take it too long. In the meantime, I can go grab a name for that guy. And that looks pretty good. I'll go to my finalized properties, give it a slightly better name. Again, I fortunately don't have HAAS listed here, so I don't get to do that. But we'll just say it's a HAAS 0.5 SF shrink fit. Okay, so we kind of know what it's for. All right, that looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and hit finish. So that's now assigned. I can go up to my tool page, right-click, edit projection, and I'll just go ahead and just kind of hammer that guy down. Okay, all right. Looks pretty good. I'll check that holder page one more time. That looks pretty reasonable. And I'll just go ahead and say, okay, again, I'm not going to go through and kind of write that tool path. I mean, you can backplot it if you want to, but again, nothing we're doing in here is gonna keep, but that looks like my assembly. It looks like we kind of expect it to. Okay. So I'm then going to go up to my tool manager, and I'm going to right click on that tool, which is now an assembly up there, and I'm going to save assemblies to library. Okay. On the left-hand side, saving this as a tool assembly. I don't want to save it in my normal database. I'm going to park this somewhere else. So I'll go to my documents folder. I'm going to go ahead and park that in the folder I have for this, and I'm just going to call this another new tool. Again, I probably have a good database for this somewhere, but I just need to call it something. Another new tool database. Sounds good. I'll go ahead and say, all right, library updated successfully, all good. Again, I can bail out of this now. I don't need to work with this anymore. This is really just a holding place just to create those tools. If I've got more tools to create, I can just keep creating them and then save them all out at the end. But we're just doing one for here. So I'll go ahead and just kind of bail on that. Now, I'm going to open up sort of just kind of a solid I keep around for kind of testing out a new tool or just writing a tool path with the new tool. Because one of the things I do want to try with this is the rough and finish with the new 2D high-speed dynamic. And this has a nice interior feature there where I'm going to kind of do that in, or I could even do it on this little side mill portion. I think I'll do this little guy here. I think that tool will fit in most of that. Again, I can modify and play with this model as much as I want. This is just some random model with some features so I can play with this. So I'll go up to my 2D gallery. I'll grab my 2D high-speed dynamic mill. Again, wonderfully color-coded nowadays. Love it. We'll do an inside strategy. I'll select as a face. I'll select that floor there. Then I'll go ahead and do some air regions, and I will do outer open edges to go ahead and grab that. Okay. Mastercam, again, color coding the machining region, the air regions, preview chains, as always. That looks pretty good. So I'll say okay. Into the tool path itself, I'm going to go to my tool page, select tool from a library. That's not the library I want, so I'm going to go find my new tool, wherever I parked my car kind of thing. We'll find that. My hardest problem is finding stuff these days. Hey, there's another new tool. I'll go ahead and grab that guy and bring him in. And that does bring in the assembly, brings in the feeds and speeds, all of the stuff I want to do with it. I'm going to right click and just check the projection against that and say, yep, that has no problems there. There again, we see that new wonderful retract depth, top of stock stuff. Always love seeing that. Looks great. That looks fine. We'll hit escape to back out of there. I'll go to my cut parameters. I didn't grab my step over. My problem there is I didn't set it to do that. I did get my feeds and speeds, but I didn't use step, peck, and coolant, so that's on me. Again, easy to miss that. So I'll just go ahead and hit 7% step over there. We'll go ahead and zero out our stock to leaves because we are going to do a finish pass there. Maximize engagement always. Tool stays down. That looks fine. Corner pretreatment, no. Depth cuts, no. Finish passes, yes. I'm going to go ahead and turn those on. I want to do one pass at, let's say, 5 thou. Feed rate, override, spring rate. I kind of do that, however I want to do it. I think we're okay. I think we'll leave those as is for now. I'll go to my linking parameters, sort of set those up. Top of stock, top of feature. Again, usually leave those absolute. Let's see, 0.2. Depth, incremental and 0. That's fine. No breakthrough amount. Don't need an entry motion on this. I'll go to my arc filter. Hey, that's already turned on for my previous defaults, so I'm just going to go ahead and set that for 2080. I like that. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of take a look at that cut as it generates and just kind of see what I like there. I do have stock, so that looks all right. It's fine. I think we'll take a look at that and verify really quick just to make sure I'm happy with that and the way it's cutting. Don't see my holder. There we go. There's my new fancy shrink fit holder. It's all there. Again, just kind of dial that in. And again, I should have a nice little finish pass there at the end. That's the kind of the new thing with 2D high speed. I'm not sure if that guy's going to get fully in the corners. That the part's tool's a little bigger than the part, but that's okay. Again, just trying to kind of test this out, get it somewhat dialed in, just so I'm happy with it. And I like that. I think that looks pretty reasonable. All right. So if I like those settings, I've gone out and I've proven it on the machine. I'm happy with it. Also, of course, another good excuse to go ahead and save that as a default. Save toolpath parameters to a file. Again, I'll call this custom. So we'll rename that and we'll call this, I'm going to call this my core 5, 0.5 with finish. I'll say okay. And yep, pretty happy with that. And I'll say all right. Okay, so I've now got that listed there, so I can go ahead and grab that anytime I want to. So just to kind of show you the sort of the end result of that, right? Now that I've got it dialed in, we're going to pretend we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to say, all right, just drop that out of there. Okay, I'm going to reopen that part file because I didn't save anything. Okay, so I'm back to a real blank sort of state. Okay, go up to my dynamic mill, go ahead and do my chains. I'm going to do the same basic feature, that face there. Again, air region, outer open edges. There we go. Okay, that looks good. I'll say okay. And when I'm into the toolpath, I'm going to go up and I'm going to grab this, right? Because again, I don't have anything. No, there's no tools. There's no anything. I'm going to go and grab that core 5 with finish. It didn't grab my tool, but I do have my parameters there. So as soon as I go up and I grab my tool, I guess grab the tool and then load the presets. How about we try that next time? Good stuff. Hey, there's my boy. I'm going to use that guy. So he's good. He's now out of there. I'll grab him, and then I'm just going to, again, just sort of make sure those are reloaded. And cut parameters. Yep, all happy there. Finish passes, right where I left them. Again, always check my linking parameters. That looks pretty good. Yep, go ahead and generate that. Okay. Got that tool dialed in. Save the parameters, reuse that from here until, I get a new favorite tool. Anyway, so what I'm kind of trying to demonstrate there is again, once I've created a new tool, once I've tried it out, once I've got it kind of where I like it, I've tried it on a few different tool paths, I'm saving those defaults, right? And I'm saving that tool, and I'm going to reuse those constantly. The more I do this, the more I build up that sort of foundational database of tools with assemblies that are what I'm actually using, and using actual settings for the tool paths that I've dialed in and I've tested out. I'm ready to go. I'm not wasting or burning any time, when it comes to actually start using this stuff on a real part, because I've kind of done all the grunt work on the early end, and that's really the idea with this. Okay? A little bit of busy work at the beginning just pays dividends down the road.